Khabib Nurmagomedov didn't just retire undefeated, he walked away carrying an aura that few athletes in history could ever match. He was never dropped, never cut, and never truly broken inside the octagon. For many, he's forever remembered as the eagle who dismantled Conor McGregor and forced the best lightweights in the world to submit. But the real story of Khabib in 2025 stretches far beyond the cage. Today, his life is one most fighters can only dream of, shaped by family, faith, and purpose. But it wasn't always this way. Behind the trophies, pay-per-view records, and worldwide fame lies a tale of sacrifice, strategic business moves, and humility that continues to surprise even his critics. Before he became a global symbol, Khabib was just a boy from Sildi, a remote mountain village in Dagestan. His father, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, built a training space in their basement with little more than mats, determination, and discipline. From the beginning, Khabib wasn't being molded to simply compete. He was being shaped into a warrior. That viral footage of him wrestling a bear as a child? It wasn't folklore. It was real. Harsh weather, brutal training conditions, and endless repetition forged both his toughness and his humility. By the time he entered the UFC, he carried more than skills, he carried the expectations of an entire region on his shoulders. What separated Khabib wasn't only his suffocating grappling style. It was his principles. He never cared for trash talk, flashy outfits, or theatrical weigh-ins. His life was anchored in religion, loyalty, and family. Yet, despite avoiding the circus, he was paid like the biggest showman. His 2018 triumph over Conor McGregor at UFC 229 generated 2.4 million pay-per-view buys, the most in UFC history. That night made him wealthier than most champions ever dream, but instead of indulging in extravagance, he sent much of that money back to Dagestan, to his family and community. In that moment, Khabib became more than a fighter. He became a symbol of honor. Every takedown was more than an athletic maneuver, it was a lesson in composure and strategy. Fighters around the globe admired his unblemished 29-0 record, but very few understood the emotional toll of defending such perfection in a sport built on chaos. As of 2025, he has never returned to competition, despite countless offers from Russia, the Middle East, and even Dana White himself. Khabib stays firm in his retirement, though his influence in MMA has only grown stronger. While names like McGregor, John Jones, and Israel Adesanya are often brought up when discussing the UFC's highest earners, what many don't realize is that Khabib quietly built an empire outside the cage. In 2020, his fight against Justin Gaethje earned him more than $6 million before pay-per-view bonuses and sponsorships. By the following year, he was making more money through endorsements than through fighting itself. He partnered with SalonPay, Guerrilla Energy, Reebok, later Venom, and Toyota, while rejecting offers from gambling and alcohol companies because of his faith, a decision that only strengthened his brand across Muslim-majority countries. Then came business. In 2021, Khabib purchased Guerrilla Fighting Championship for $1 million and rebranded it Eagle FC. Within 2 years, it had expanded into the US and UAE, offering disillusioned fighters an alternative to the UFC. His approach was positioned as the opposite of Dana White's: more respect, better pay, greater focus on fighter safety. He launched Eagle Mobile, a telecom brand selling affordable SIM cards with merchandise and digital content bundled in. Soon after came Fitru, his protein snack line, which spread across 70 countries after viral videos showed him distributing bars to kids in Dagestan. He even ventured into bottled water with Water by Khabib, marketed around recovery and health. By 2025, his net worth is estimated at $80 to $100 million. And yet, despite the fortune, he continues to wear traditional Dagestani attire more often than designer suits. Unlike most fighters who retire into commentary jobs or vanish from relevance, Khabib created a role entirely his own. He became a promoter, a businessman, and a cultural figure, balancing Western business ventures with deep-rooted Dagestani values. He divides his time between San Jose, where he works with fighters on training and tactics, and Dagestan, where he sponsors youth events and helps local gyms. You won't find him in Dubai nightclubs or flaunting supercars. Instead, he prefers riding horses in the mountains, camping with childhood friends, and kicking a ball around with local kids. He remains a devoted football fan, supporting Real Madrid, and continues to value education. Khabib holds a degree in finance and economics, and speaks multiple languages, including Russian, English, and Turkish. His humility has become both his shield and his brand. On social media, however, his presence is enormous. With over 35 million Instagram followers, he ranks among the most followed Muslim athletes alive. But unlike typical influencers, he uses his platform to share family moments, motivational posts, and Islamic teachings. He avoids Hollywood offers, documentaries, and reality shows, but has embraced mentorship. His cousin Usman Nurmagomedov is now one of Bellator's brightest stars, and Khabib is guiding him the way Abdulmanap once guided him. Still, walking away wasn't as simple as it looked. He promised his mother he would stop fighting after his father's passing, and he kept that vow. But behind the curtain, retirement left a void. For over 20 years, his world revolved around fight camps, weight cuts, press conferences, and the adrenaline of competition. Suddenly, it all disappeared. Those close to him noticed a shift. He became quieter, less animated. In 2022, he even withdrew from public life for months, retreating to the Dagestani mountains. Some said he was spiritually recharging, others believed he was mourning not only his father, but the very identity that defined him. Transitioning to business didn't come without challenges. Running Eagle FC brought stress, politics, and financial risks. Venues fell through, sponsors pulled back during recessions, and fighters dropped out. He left behind punches, one associate said, but walked into politics. For a man guided by ethics, the business world became its own kind of battle. Fans still beg him to return, but he refuses, not because he can't compete, but because he knows stepping back into the cage could unravel everything he has built. And deep down, perhaps, there's the quiet fear of discovering he's no longer the same invincible fighter. Despite wealth, his life in 2025 isn't built on luxury. His most valued possession is privacy. He divides time between a sleek home in Makachkala and an estate in San Jose, but neither feels as grounding as his childhood village. He often speaks of missing the cold stone floors, the scent of pine, and the single broken television from his youth. Success has given him everything, but also distanced him from what made him. Even with his fame, isolation follows him. Every move requires managers, security, and staff. His days are filled with meetings, charity appearances, and business commitments. And when the cameras shut off, silence lingers. Being undefeated is both a crown and a burden. Every headline and every conversation begins with that label, 29-0. It has frozen him in time. Now, perfection is expected not just in fighting, but in business, family, and public life. In Eagle FC, fighters describe his training environment as almost monastic: no drinking, no trash talk, no excuses. That discipline inspires some, but suffocates others. For Khabib, it's just as heavy, because every decision still feels like one his father should be there to guide. In 2024, Eagle FC faced scandal when an associate was accused of mishandling funds. Though Khabib himself was cleared, the media storm forced him into damage control. For the first time, cracks appeared in his empire. He responded by retreating to Mecca, then returning with sweeping changes, cutting ties with some of his closest associates. It showed that even Khabib, the untouchable eagle, isn't immune to pressure. The irony of his career is that by refusing to play the promotional circus, no scandals, no wild interviews, no tabloid headlines, he became less visible in today's entertainment-driven fight culture. Dana White respected him, but always wished he'd play into drama more. Khabib never budged. As a result, while modern fans gravitate toward personalities like Paddy Pimblett or Sean O'Malley, Khabib has become almost mythic, a ghost of an older era when honor mattered more than clicks. And yet, even as time moves on, he remains loyal to his foundation, family. He left the UFC for his mother's sake, and still spends most of his days raising his children, supporting his brothers, and protecting his father's legacy. But fame creates shadows. Some critics in Dagestan whisper that he's grown too wealthy, too different. Others accuse him of favoritism, only backing Dagestani fighters in his promotion. He keeps his family life guarded, his wife and kids rarely seen, but that secrecy fuels gossip. When a cousin was involved in a street altercation in 2023, Khabib's name was dragged into headlines, even though he wasn't present. Exhausted, he pulled back again from interviews and public life. Those close to him say the weight of being a global role model takes more from him spiritually than physically. And so, in 2025, the question isn't who Khabib will fight next, but who he will become. Will he keep pushing Eagle FC as an alternative powerhouse? Will he leave the business world to found a religious school? Or will he disappear from public life completely, returning to the mountains that raised him? Those who know him say he dreams of all three at different times. The tragedy, if there is one, is that Khabib achieved everything he ever wanted: wealth, respect, immortality in sport. But in doing so, he lost the things he didn't realize he would miss: the mornings training with snow outside the window, his father's voice, the simplicity of chasing glory before the world was watching. Khabib Nurmagomedov will always be remembered as undefeated inside the Octagon. But outside of it, the battles continue, battles of identity, expectation, and peace. He was the eagle once. Now, he's a man searching for quiet in a world that won't stop calling him back into the storm.